Disguised as Rapunzel. Is the original story darker than the Disney version called Tangled? Now, we are all dealing with the coronavirus epidemic. Is the kingdom in Tangled really called Corona? Did it have anything to do with why she was quarantined away? Just like us. How did she get stuck up, locked away in a tall castle tower? Was she really named after a flower her mother was so addicted to? She even traded her daughter away just to get some more. Was the flowers symbolism for something darker? It's time for me to answer all these questions and more, since this is ASMR Aaron, back at it again with another daily video to help you relax. So lay back and enjoy the ride. I hope this video gets you through your day, or even better, I hope this video helps you gently fall asleep. I can't wait to get started. This is the tale of Rapunzel. What's going on, guys? This is the story of Rapunzel. I'm super excited to do it, and it's oddly, ironically, super relevant right now due to the situation that we're all going on. Aside from a girl being locked up and cooped up in a place for a long period of time, no joke, if you've seen the movie Tangled, or if you know about it, or even if you haven't, Google what the name of the kingdom or palace is. It's legit called Corona. I'm not kidding. Go ahead and check it out, Google it. This is something that you can't write or make up. It reminds me of those Simpsons, predicted it kind of things, but no, I think this was just a situation that just happened on accident, so pretty wild stuff, but good news is coming out with that. Looks like things are happening and progressing, and we'll be out of this soon, so I'm super excited. Anyway, here is the story of Rapunzel, which the movie Tangled is based off of, if you haven't gotten it yet. There once was a man and a woman that had a long vein for a child. At length, the women hoped that God was about to grant her desire. These people had a little window at the back of their house from which splendid gardens could be seen, which was full of the most beautiful flowers and herbs. It was, however, surrounded by a high wall, and no one dared to go into it because it belonged to an enchantress who had great power and was dreaded by all the world. One day, the woman was standing by the window and looked down into the garden when she saw a bed which was planted with the most beautiful Rapunzel, and it looked so fresh and green that she longed for it. Oh shoot, that's why her name's Rapunzel, and that's why her eyes are green. What the heck? Nice. She quite pinned away and began to look pale and miserable. Then her husband was alarmed and asked, "What ails you, dear wife?" "Ah," she replied, "I can't eat some of the rampion, which is in the garden behind our house. I shall die." The man who loved her thought, "This guy really likes her. Sooner than let your wife die, bring her some of the rampion yourself. Let it cost what it will." At twilight, he clambered down over the wall into the garden of the enchantress, hastily clutched a handful full of rampion, and took to his wife. What a good guy, huh? next day she longed for it 3 times as much as before. If he was to have any rest, her husband must once more descend into the garden. In the gloom of evening before he let himself down again. This girl sounds like she's a handful for him. But it's good that he's doing a good job taking care of her. But when he had clambered down, the wall was terribly afraid, for he saw the enchantress standing before him. "How can you dare," said she angrily, "looked, descend into my garden and steal my rampon like a thief? You shall suffer for it." Dang, that must be... She's pretty pissed. But in her defense, I mean, the dude's stealing her stuff, so I would probably be her too. Actually, I kind of am her every day. "You shall suffer for it." "Ah," answered he, "let mercy take the place of justice. I only made up my mind to do it out of necessity. My wife saw your rampon from the window and felt such a longing for it that she would have died if she had not gone some to eat." Then the enchantress allowed her anger to be softened and said to him, "If the case be as you say, I will allow you to take away with as much rampon as you will. Only I make one condition. You must give me the child, which your wife will bring into the world." The man, in his terror, consented to everything. Well, dude, I thought I was like totally talking this guy up, but I guess he doesn't have it all in the balls, I find. And when the woman was brought to bed, the enchantress appeared at once, gave the child the name Rapunzel, and took it away with her. This is like, this rampon flower sounds like so important. I know this is lame, but I'm gonna make the joke. It's like the toilet paper right now. Yeah, if that was a cringy joke, I'm sorry. I've been locked up in this place for a long time now, okay? So, cabin fever moving my mind, so excuse the dad jokes. Rapunzel grew into the most beautiful child under the sun when she was 12 years old. The enchantress shut her into a tower, which she lay enforced and had neither stars nor door, but quite at the top was a little window. When the enchantress wanted to go in, she placed herself beneath it and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me." And Rapunzel had magnificent long hair, fine as spun gold. And when she heard the voice of the enchantress, she unfastened her braid tresses, wound them round on one of the hooks of the window above, and then the hair fell 20 ells down. Maybe that means floors back then. And the enchantress climbed by up it. After a year or two, it came to pass that the king's son rode through the forest and passed by the tower. Then he heard a song, which was so charming that he stood still and listened. This was Rapunzel, who in her solitude passed her time in letting her sweet voice resound. The king's son wanted to climb up to her and looked for the door of the tower, but none was to be found. Once, when he was thus standing behind a tree, he saw that the enchantress came there and heard how she cried. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me. Then Rapunzel let down the braids of her hair, and the enchantress climbed up to her. If that is the ladder by which one mounts, I too will try my fortune, said he, and the next day, when it began to grow dark, he went out into the tower and cried. So I got a little confused there, because I thought that was him that said that, and I was like, how does he know her name, like without ever talking to her? But I guess this is him, like watching her say this to, like he's watching from a distance, and he says this, so now he knows the copier, which makes more sense. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me. Immediately the hair fell down, and the king's son climbed up. At first, Rapunzel was terribly frightened when a man, such as her eyes had never yet beheld, came to her. But the king's son began to talk to her quite like a friend, and told her that his heart had been so stirred that it had let him have no rest, and he had been forced to see her. Then Rapunzel lost her fear, and when he asked her if she would take him for her husband, dude, these people back in the day, like, progressed pretty quickly. He just saw her and he wanted to marry her. And she saw that he was young and handsome, and she thought, he will love me more than old Dame Gothel does. And she said, yes. Wow. And laid her hand in his. She said, I will willingly go away with you, but I do not know how to get down. Bring with you a skein of silk every time that you come, and I will weave a ladder with it, and when this is ready, I will descend, and you will take me on your horse. They agreed that until that time he should come to her every evening. For the old woman came by day. The enchantress remarked nothing of this, until once Rapunzel said to her, tell me, name Gothel, how it happened that you are so much heavier for me to draw up than the young king's son. He is with me in a moment. Ah, you wicked child, cried the enchantress. She doesn't sound like an enchantress. What do I say? What do I hear you say? I thought I had separated you from all the world, and yet you have deceived me. In her anger, she clutched Rapunzel's beautiful tresses. I'm not sure, maybe that means dresses back then. Oh no, that's her hair, sorry. It looks like it's her hair, thank God for the picture. I need pictures, even as a grown-ass adult. Around her left hand seized a pair of a scissor, and with the right, and snip and snap, they were cut off, and the lovely braids lay on the ground, and she was was so pitiless that she took poor Rapunzel into the desert, where she lived in great grief and misery. On the same day that she cast out Rapunzel, however, the enchantress fastened the braids of hair which she had cut off to the hook of the window. And when the king's son came and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair to me," she let down her hair. Doesn't make sense. The story's going too fast. Never read it. So. The king's son ascended, but instead of finding his dearest Rapunzel, he found the enchantress, who gazed at him with a wicked and venomous look. "Ah," she cried mockingly, "you would fetch your dearest, but the beautiful bird sits no longer singing in the nest. The cat has caught it, and will scratch out your eyes as well." Dang, man, she's pretty crazy. "Rapunzel is lost to you. You'll never see her again." The king's son was beside himself with pain, and in his despair he leapt down from the tower. He escaped with his life, but the thrones into which fell pierced his eyes. I really think I skipped a page here. We're gonna keep going and see if I did. Then he wandered quite blind about the forest, ate nothing but roots and berries, and did not but lament and weep over the loss of his dearest wife. Thus he roamed about in misery for some years, and at length came to the desert where Rapunzel, with the twins to which she had given birth, a boy and a girl, lived in wretchedness. He heard a voice, and it seemed so familiar to him that he went towards it, and when he approached, Rapunzel knew him and fell on his neck and wept. 2 of her tears wetted his eyes, which they grew clear again, and he could see with them as before. He led her to this kingdom, where he was joyfully received, and they lived for a long time afterwards, happy and content. But a couple things I did learn was, I guess, that when you're cooped up your entire life, overall the story was pretty dope, but it was a little confusing because people really acted super quickly back in the day. Dude sees her, asks her to marry her, she says yes, they don't even talk. But who knows, maybe back then things were like that. Or more importantly, I think her being in that situation, cooped up for so long, she's down for anything, and she gets you a little crazy. So I guess we could relate to her right now. But I had a lot of fun time reading this story. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Don't forget, I upload a new video and book read every day. So if you have any recommendations or requests, feel free to comment